Hi everyone, pleasure to be with you here. I actually, I will tell you a little bit about Richel, since she is a unique person in the landscape of Israeli and China business relations. I know her, Richel, for 15 years now. And I must admit that the first year was actually Richel shouting at me because we were on the two sides of the table negotiating a complex transaction. It was, look, 15 years ago, a transaction between China and an Israeli entity was very different from today. And that was, I think it was the first joint venture.
Yes.
Ever created with real transfer of technology from Israel to China and so forth. But so after that start, which was not so fun, but funny, I think, in retrospect, we are now friends for the remainder of 15 years. And now we helped Richel from the legal perspective to raise her fund. After the work there, Richel actually became in China the CEO of Founder IT. Founder IT is a part of Founder Group. It's a huge conglomerate, but under Richel were employees of over 10,000 in number, with a revenue of more than $1.5 billion US dollars, not RMB. So she was like a big corporate officer. And then she did a totally turnaround in her career. One day she called me, I'm quitting and I'm starting a fund that will be focused on Israel, on Israeli companies. So Richel, just give a few sentences about your fund, which is actually unique also in the world.
Okay, so in 2016, I set up my company, Remoncy, and in Remoncy, we create a specialized fund. It's called the Global Vision Science Fund. It means we invest in the early stage technology company involved in ophthalmology, optometry, and also the vision science, neuro-ophthalmology. It means that anything relevant with the eye. I think is a very special and very important organ in the whole body. Yeah.
And you invest in companies of which stage?
We invest in the early stage from some is the C stage until Series B. I mean, C stage, Series A, and Series B is pretty early stage.
And how many companies in Israel have you invested in?
Yeah, currently I have, in my fund, we have a 9 portfolio, and I think most of them is an Israeli company, is 7 companies here, and also I have another 2 companies, a US company.
So you have a nice perspective on Israeli entrepreneurs, Chinese entrepreneurs, and American entrepreneurs. Can you share with us a little bit about the Israeli entrepreneurial type of guy?
Okay, so I see it's a very interesting question. Since I screening the company worldwide, you know, here, US, Europe, and also, of course, in my country, China. So I see, if in the same condition, I believe like to operate a company, the Israeli entrepreneur can survive longer. That's the first, you know, my impression. Second, because they say, okay, it's a small market here, but on the other hand, actually it's push the Israeli entrepreneur have a very strong capability for the business development. That's even compared with my US company. I see the business development capability for here. I mean, Israeli entrepreneur is pretty strong. And I think another issue is also I see the good issue is like I see the Israeli entrepreneur can balance their life. It means vacation, more family time. But if in China, working as a Chinese entrepreneur, if my husband want to be an entrepreneur in China, I think I will try all my best to block him. Because you know, most of the time they don't have time for family.
And then we believe here in Israel that entrepreneurs work hard, and so that's that was an interesting perspective for me. And if you, when you're going to, if you describe the trends regarding fund formation in China right now, I mean, can you share with us your insight about fund formation? What kind of what is the trend now?
Okay, so first I see that in the past 10 years, maybe 15 years, actually is a high growth stage even for the fund industry. I mean, during the past 10 to 15 years, many funds created in China. But if we look at more, just past maybe 2 to 3 years, we can see several trends. The first, I see life science is still very stable. It means like the investor, fund investor, they would still willing to support the fund in the life science industry because relevant with the aging society and also with a lot of issue. So life science is, I think, is one good sector, but also is a sector you need patience. Second, I see in China, I believe maybe from 2018, China stopped the high growth stage. It means like we turn into the second part. It means like whatever from economy, from the corporate management, you need more for precise operation. It's like not like in the past, you rely on more capital resources. It means either capital, either the labor cost, or either the real estate, the land, everything. But now you need more and more from technology, from more, talented people for more, operation. That's, I see another interesting trend in China that more and more specialized fund. It's not to say it's a life science fund. It means they just focused maybe in few sector or in some technology. As I saw the fund that very focused in precise medicine. I saw the fund that they invest focus in the IVD. So it means like, I believe as a specialized fund, you work in this industry, you create the ecosystem in this industry, you bring the people, connection, resources. This is, I believe, is really more important than the money itself. Finally, every day I work with the entrepreneur here, not only as a board member, you just show up for the board meeting. Actually, I involve or engage with my company. I see it's very active, like a part of the management. Because you only work in this industry, you can bring the resources from not only China, also even US, or also of the Europe to help your company. So this is, I see, is very interesting in China. It's like now, I believe in China, we are more operation oriented.
Okay, so this brings us to the next question. Do you feel that, since I know you and you are very, prudent and go into details, and you have a specialized fund of ophthalmology and eye care, so you really know your work and you know the industry. Do you think that the Israeli entrepreneurs cooperate in the due diligence, for example? Do they give you the information that you require?
I think this quite depending on entrepreneur, depending on company. During my due diligence process, I really see some of the company, they are very systematically prepared. It means well documentation and everything is ready. And even I see some of the company actually already become my portfolio company. I'm very impressive because company could be from the first day, they will get all kinds of the question, either from investor, either from outside. So they accumulate all the questions from the company first day to be a very thick deck. once I do the due diligence, they show this to me. I said, wow, it's like hundreds of the question, and all my question is already in this. So this is, I see, is like company, they are very, well documented and prepare very well. But I also see other company, once I do the due diligence, it's like squeeze. I need to squeeze for the information. They are not willing to share, the totally picture or even something more, deeps in the technology. But this is a due diligence process. So if I feel the company you couldn't collaborate well in the due diligence stage, I'm not sure I can continue here. Yeah.
Right. So entrepreneurs assist, please, in due diligence. That's an important issue. And then there is, let's say that you finalize the due diligence and you close the deal. Do you feel that the Israeli entrepreneur going forward is open to get advice from you?
This is, I think, is a very good question. Actually, I heard from my other investor friends. Sometimes they complain, I try to give companies some advice, I try to help them, but they are a little, rejection. It's not only here, I believe also in China it's the same. But I think as a specialized fund, it means like you only in this industry, all your connection, your KOL, and your resources is in this industry. So you can give the real valuable advice to the entrepreneur. Sometimes, a lot of advice sounds good, but no meaning. Sounds good, but no meaning. But if you give such kind of advice, I believe the entrepreneur, is not very, open for that. But one day and a day, if you really give a valuable advice and it's really do something, influence their business, I think with times going, they will be more and more open to your advice. That's what I see is advantage of the specialized fund. Yeah.
And do you feel that the fact that you are Chinese, they are more reluctant to get advice regarding the global situation, for example?
This is, I think, is a little challenge because usually they expect that as a Chinese investor, okay, you are professional from China side, you can give, advice from China, but can you give something from US, from German, from all the other world? I think for my portfolio, I can. That's also I see is an advantage of the specialized fund. I can give you an example. I have a company here to do some artificial tissue of the human. This company needs the first in human. And as we know that for the company, startup company, first in human is always a very challenge because you don't know what will happen. So we screening the hospital and physician here. I see is nobody willing to be the first physician to do the first in human. Then I bring a professor from German. It's like in the Heidelberg University. Actually, is a worldwide top leading professor to help my company here to finish the first in human in German. Actually, it's very successful. That's what I see is like as an investor, if you have expertise and you have the resources, not only from China. For China, it's more easy for us, but if we really work hard in this industry, actually I can also get the input and the resources from the US, from all the other world to help the company here.
Okay, so we have little time and I wanted to touch a little bit, just in a word, any update about taking money out of China? I mean, we have entrepreneurs, Israeli entrepreneurs, how should they expect to have problems with Chinese investors investing in their company?
Okay, so I can classify the situation like several scenarios. So scenario one, if a venture capital, whatever, private equity, if they don't have dollar, only RMB, today I see nearly impossible to do the direct equity investment in a company here. Second, the industry company, that if you can approve the company you want to invest here is very relevant with your core business, that's I think that that the government will be approved to shift the money from RMB to dollar to invest in the company here. And I see another model is more and more popular today is we call it the licensing model. It means like a Chinese company can license from here, I mean, maybe a pharmaceutical company, geographic rights in China, and they can pay the upfront and also milestone money. But this is the once you go through the government procedure, they can also approve. It means that RMB can transfer to dollar and to do the licensing model.
Okay, so just to be more clear about it, no change, generally speaking, with respect to taking money out of China, at least for now. If the fund has money outside of China, that's fine. Industrial companies and strategic partners usually have money out of China, so that's easier. And you mentioned the licensing model, which is like the trend now of doing investment with Chinese funds that have only RMB.
Yes, industry company, if they only have RMB, but if they do something relevant, they can also.
So they can use that. That's exactly what we see happened. We wanted to touch the Chinese, US, and global trade war, but I'm afraid that our time is past and we have to close. So thank you very much, everyone. We are around. If anyone wants to ask question, we are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.